This video is brought to you by Quantis Insights. Help support the growing conservative movement by becoming a member today. And if you want to support this channel, you can also use the code REAL when becoming a member. Thank you and enjoy the video. So in the last couple of days, there's been a clear vibe shift in my opinion. I think a lot of people would agree with me because it seems like a lot of the criticisms people had about President Trump and the worry that some people had about Trump's approval collapsing by 80 points overnight. I mean, guys, just a couple weeks ago, according to the RCP polling average, they had President Trump's approval rating at only 45% and 52% disapprove. Now, funny enough, compared to his first term, that's actually an improvement. I mean, back in Trump's first term, back in 2017, some weeks he was at like -20. So even these same polls that have him at some ridiculously low number, like -15, well, funny enough, these same polls showing these ridiculously low margins, back in 2017, they were even worse. They were claiming President Trump has a -40% approval. I mean, it was bad in 2017. But even these same polls that have him down by so much, it's actually an improvement. But even then, in the last week or so, there's been a clear shift in the individual polling suggesting that President Trump's approval is rebounding. And just look at the polls in late April. You had the New York Times, CBS News, News Nation, Daily Mail, Reuters, Yahoo News. Basically at the same time, right? The same time frame, late April, they found all basically identical results. They found Trump below water by 8, 10, 11, even upwards of 12 points. In fact, there are some polls that had it below water by like 20 points or something. It's like, wait, what? So even the most anti-Trump people were saying, okay, some of these polls might be exaggerating the decline a little bit, but you cannot deny the fact that according to most polls in the later half of April, it seemed like Trump's approval was going down. Even the more quote-unquote conservative polls like Rasmussen, for example, they were finding Trump's approval was going down. Not by 15 or 20 points, but they said, okay, it's going down by roughly 5 or 6 points, which that's not that good. But again, compared to what some polls like the New York Times was claiming, a 5 to 6 point drop off ain't that bad. But even then, these polls in recent days, they're showing there's a shift towards President Trump. Just look at like YouGov. YouGov a couple days ago, they dropped the poll and it was -8 for Trump's approval. Compare that to late April. They found Trump's approval at -11. Again, that same time frame that all these polls at the same time mysteriously found Trump's approval collapsing by 15 points. Yeah, YouGov is even showing that Trump's approval has gone up by 3 points in the span of a couple of weeks. Big data poll, which Rich Barris, his poll found Trump's approval at +1. Again, a lot lower than it was back in January. Back in January is +19. But let's be completely honest. A +19 poll was not going to last. And in fact, that same poll had a bunch of undecided voters, and Trump's approval was at 56%. So either way, those numbers were not sustainable. But at the same time, even Big Data, which is a really good pollster, they're finding Trump's approval roughly at +1. Which, compared to some other polls, that's actually pretty good. Quantis Insights, another great example. A couple weeks ago, they found Trump's approval at -3, and now that same pollster has it tied. So basically every poll is showing the same trend. Even AP Nork, which is a very bad pollster, it's one of those pollsters that claimed Trump's approval was at -20 or whatever. Well, even they're finding his approval is rebounding by +4. Is it great? No, they still have a -16, but even the very crappy polls are showing like a 4 to 5 point shift in Trump's approval in the last couple of days. But I would argue the biggest shift did not come from AP Nork, Quantis Insights, Big Data. These are good pollsters, but I would argue that the biggest indicator that something is really happening with Trump's approval comes from Rasmussen. Now, Rasmussen is a very good pollster. Are they perfect? No, there are no pollsters that are perfect. But they do a daily tracker of Trump's approval. And in late April, they were one of those polls that had Trump at -5. They had Trump at -6, -5, -4. For the last couple of weeks of April. But ever since it became May 1st, the approval actually flipped. Ever since May 1st, Trump's approval has been positive every single day. And it's actually rising. And according to Rasmussen today, which, again, they're a daily tracker, they could have some wonky results, things could change. But as of today, Trump's approval is +6. Yeah, +6. It was so shocking that even Mark Mitchell, the head pollster at Rasmussen, he's even saying that this is crazy. This makes no sense whatsoever. This should not be happening. But even Rasmussen is finding Trump's approval is rebounding. Does this mean it's going to hold on to +6 forever? Maybe not. But you look at the other parts of this poll and they're finding Trump strongly approved and strongly disapproved, which they call the approval index. Basically, how strongly do people support or oppose somebody? This is a good indicator to see how strong their support really is. And well, they're finding the same trend. In late April, it was -10. That means 42% of Americans strongly disapproved of President Trump and 32% strongly approved. But ever since then, yet again, it got better and better and better for Trump. And as of today, May 12th, it's actually tied. It's 38% strongly approve, 38% strongly disapprove. In other words, the Orange Man Bad crowd, yeah, they still exist, but they're slowly going down, right? They still make up like 38% of the population, but it's not 45% or whatever. It's slowly going down. And at the same time, the people that strongly approve of Trump, like what he's doing is great, we love it, it's going back up. A lot of people are beginning to regain confidence in this administration. So, yeah, these polls are looking damn good for Trump. This does not look like horrible polling for Trump. It's not the end of the world. Yet, I don't even think this is the most critical number. Trump's approval is important. I'm not denying that. But I would argue there's one other metric that's going up that really indicates that, okay, there's something happening. Trump's approval might actually be going up by quite a bit. It's real. It's not phony BS. And of course, I'm talking about right direction, wrong track. Now, for those that don't know, this question is basically, okay, do you think America is getting better? Do you think the future's getting brighter? Or do you think it's getting worse and the future's getting worse? That's what it's asking. That's what it's basically asking. And for the last, 15 to 20 years, it's been negative by, 20 points. There's been some times here and there where it did go back up to, -5 or whatever. But outside of that, it's basically never been positive for the last 20 years. Well, in the last couple of months, I should say, there's been a clear trend towards, hey, people are believing in America again. They're saying we're on the right direction. Things are getting better. And Rasmussen tracks this daily as well. And their record high before this was +1. I think it was the middle of February. They had it for a day or two. It was 48% said we are the right direction, and it was +1 for the first time ever. I don't think it's ever been positive before February of this year. So yeah, Trump actually broke the record earlier this year. But just today, it appears that Trump broke yet another record, as according to Mark Mitchell, right direction was at 49%, and wrong track was down to 46%. Yeah, +3. And right direction is the highest it's ever been. So it's not just, oh, wrong track is so low that's why it's +3. No, right direction is the highest it's ever been. People are beginning to regain faith in America. They're saying, we're on the right direction, things are getting better, things are being made great again. So, yeah, if you're President Trump, you have to love these numbers. These numbers are great. Now, are they perfect? Of course not. They're not perfect whatsoever. Even right track, wrong track, they're saying that, Rasmussen has a +3, but most of the polls still have it -7, -6. There's some that are crazy saying -18, but the consensus is -6 or -7. But even then, that's much higher than Trump's first term. In early April of 2017, they had a -17 and -20. Right now, according to RCP, even with some very bad polls like News Nation, they have it at -10. So even compared to 2017, it's improved by 7 to 8 points. Yeah. So These numbers are looking great for Trump. But the question is why? Why is Trump having this magical surge? Well, for starters, people are realizing that the economy is in fact getting better. It's not perfect, far from it, but the Democrats overplayed their hand. They were claiming that the economy was going to crash, there was going to be 80% unemployment, inflation would be the worst in history. Like, we're talking about 500% inflation overnight. That's what they were claiming. So a lot of people are worried that, oh, these policies, they're radical, it might be needed, but I don't necessarily support it. It might be too extreme. But now, these people are realizing that, oh, wait a minute, this idea that we're going to have an economic crash bigger than 1930 is crazy. That's not going to happen. And things are actually getting better. Inflation is going down slowly but surely. And the trade war ended up being a massive success. We got trade deals done with the UK. It looks like a deal done with China, at least indirectly. And it sounds like countries like Japan, India, South Korea, they're talking with us right now, and we are getting damn close to deals getting done. So that's the first part. People are realizing that, oh, wait, the economy, it's not as bad as some people thought it was going to get. Like, yeah, some parts might have gotten worse a little bit, but it's not a 15-point crash overnight. And on top of that, with how bad the stock market was for a couple of days, everyone was fearful about their retirements. Like, oh, my retirement's going down the toilet. But now, the stock market, it's going right back up to what it was. So that's the first part. People are realizing that the economy, it's not as bad as some people were claiming it was going to get. It's not perfect, but things are getting better. People are realizing inflation's going down. We're actually making trade deals, which I would argue that's the biggest reason. We're getting trade deals done. We're getting deals done with major countries, which people were saying was never going to happen. Everyone was saying, oh, Trump's approval is going to collapse by 50 points and it's over for him. But in reality, no, he's getting deals done. So people are regaining confidence in President Trump. But outside of that, just the fact that the issue of immigration has been fantastic. Has it been perfect for him? No. I wish we'd do more deportations. But either way, I'm not going to complain about the southern border. No one's going to complain about it. The southern border right now, there's no one there. It's down to like 95% since 2024. And he did nothing except enforce the law. So it's really those two major issues that why I think Trump's approval is going up. Immigration is actually looking very strong for him still, even though I would argue he should do more, which I think he's going to. And the economy is rebounding. And on top of all of this, well, the Democrat Party is insane. The Democrat Party is so insane that people may say, okay, we may not like Trump, we may disagree with some of his tactics, but at least he's trying something. At least it's not just orange man bad, like Democrats are saying. That's all they say now. Anything Trump does, it's orange man bad. Just like the drug stuff today. Trump said, we're going to stop the insane price gouging with drugs. And the second he said that, Democrats who supported that for 20 years, by the way, are now saying, no, we love big pharma. We cannot oppose these corporations. Yeah, so this is why Trump is going back up. While Democrats are still at what, 21%? There's a reason. They're unpopular. Their policies suck. And people are realizing Trump's policies, it may be slow, but it's working. It's going to work in making America great again. But we're going to really know in a couple of weeks how popular Trump's going to really get after this trade stuff with China. We're going to see what happens with South Korea, India, and maybe if he gets a deal done in Ukraine and Israel, maybe his approval goes up even more. But that's another concern. People are worried about what's happening in, say, Ukraine. They want the war to end ASAP. But anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.